Global refineries are quietly shutting their doors. Retail silver is being rejected en masse across the industry. The mainstream financial media is aggressively blaming a secret Chinese export ban, but they are lying to you. The truth is much worse, and it involves a massive, systemic liquidity crisis that is fracturing the global silver market right now. Do not click away, because today we are exposing exactly what Wall Street and the central banks are desperately trying to hide from you. Hello everyone, I am John A.G., and welcome back to the Wealth Reactor. If you want to stay ahead of the macroeconomic forces shaping your wealth, and if you want to protect your portfolio from the rapidly collapsing fiat system, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon so you never miss an urgent market update. Let us dive right into the real data. Let us start with part 1, the illusion of panic and the China myth. In the ruthless world of high finance, a single carefully planted headline can move billions of dollars and shake weak hands out of their positions. And recently, one highly specific narrative has sparked sheer panic among retail investors and precious metal stackers. The story circulating on the major financial networks claims that the Chinese government has completely and totally banned the export of physical silver. It is a terrifying story if you take it at face value. It paints a vivid picture of the world's absolute largest manufacturing powerhouse suddenly hoarding a critical monetary metal, actively starving the Western markets, and bringing global technological supply chains to their absolute knees. It feeds perfectly into the fear that the East is entirely cutting off the West. But there is just one massive, glaring problem with this mainstream narrative. It is completely false. The export ban is a phantom. It is a massive misunderstanding of global trade mechanics, purposefully amplified by internet clickbait and lazy financial journalism. The absolute reality is that China is still exporting silver to the global market. So what actually happened? What Beijing actually implemented was a highly strict, deeply controlled export licensing regime. For years, independent Chinese refiners were flooding the international market and severely undercutting each other's prices to secure Western contracts. The Chinese Communist Party and the People's Bank of China stepped in to stop this internal bleeding. They essentially restricted international silver sales to a very tight, highly audited list of state-approved firms. They did not ban silver exports, they monopolized them. They centralized their outgoing supply to extract the absolute maximum profit margin from Western buyers. They are making sure that every single ounce that leaves their borders does so on their exact terms and at their desired price. Yet, despite this continued, albeit restricted, flow of Chinese metal, major Western refineries are actually shutting their doors to your secondary scrap metal. Local coin shops are struggling to offload their junk silver to the smelters. So, if the Chinese ban is a lie, why is the global refining industry seizing up? This brings us to part 2, the great decoupling and the global physical drain. While Western retail investors panicked over a fake embargo, they completely missed the real, historic financial anomaly playing out in the background. Right now, physical silver on the Shanghai Gold Exchange is trading at a massive, unprecedented premium. It is routinely sitting between 10 and 15% higher than the official London Bullion Market Association spot price. Think about the sheer scale of that market distortion. In a free, globalized market, the price of a commodity should be roughly the exact same everywhere on Earth. But the global market has broken. China's domestic industrial machine is running red hot, and it is completely decoupled from Western paper pricing. Their solar panel gigafactories, their aggressive electric vehicle manufacturing sector, and their massive state-funded artificial intelligence hardware sectors are absorbing physical metal so incredibly fast that they are entirely willing to pay a heavy double-digit premium just to keep the physical silver on shore. This sustained price difference creates a massive, irresistible arbitrage opportunity for global institutional traders. Smart money is systematically draining the physical vaults of the West. They are buying the artificially suppressed paper contracts on the COMEX in New York, demanding physical delivery, loading those massive 1,000-ounce bars onto cargo ships and sending them directly to Asia to sell for a massive risk-free profit. The East is actively bleeding the West dry, leaving Western commodity exchanges holding nothing but empty paper derivatives and facing a severe, undeniable physical deficit. Now we must look at part 3, the geopolitical weaponization of silver. You must understand that China is not just hoarding this metal for their industrial base. They are weaponizing it as part of a broader macroeconomic strategy. The BRICS nations, led by Russia and China, are actively preparing for a post-dollar world. We all know they have been buying record amounts of gold to back a new alternative financial system, but silver is the silent partner in this wealth transfer. By strategically draining physical silver from the West, the BRICS nations are securing a hard asset that is absolutely essential for the technological dominance of the 21st century. They know that whoever controls the physical silver controls the future of energy and artificial intelligence. They are engineering a deliberate supply shock to cripple Western manufacturing. Which leads us directly into part 4, the industrial and military black hole. To truly grasp why this shortage is completely unsolvable, you have to understand the sheer volume of silver being consumed by modern technology. Silver is not just a monetary metal. It is the most highly conductive element on the entire periodic table. It is the irreplaceable backbone of the green energy transition. Let us look at the solar industry. The world is rapidly transitioning to highly advanced N-type photovoltaic solar cells. These high-efficiency solar panels require nearly double the amount of highly conductive silver paste compared to the older models we used just 5 years ago. Furthermore, we are facing a silent crisis in the military-industrial complex. Modern warfare applications, from guided cruise missile systems to advanced satellite radar and autonomous drones, require significant amounts of pure silver to function without failing under extreme conditions. Our defense contractors are completely reliant on a fragile supply chain. If the physical deficit continues, governments will have no choice but to classify silver as a critical strategic national security metal, which could lead to extreme hoarding by federal agencies. And then we have the artificial intelligence boom. AI data centers run incredibly hot and require massive, continuous amounts of power. They absolutely rely on high-grade silver components for advanced thermal management, microchips, and electrical conductivity. This combined industrial, military, and technological demand is completely price inelastic. These megacorporations and defense contractors cannot substitute silver with a cheaper base metal like copper, because copper simply does not conduct electricity or resist heat corrosion as efficiently as silver. They have no choice but to buy it, whether the global spot price is $30 an ounce, $80 an ounce, or $200 an ounce. They must consume it to survive. Which brings us to part 5, the liquidity paradox and the refinery crisis. This is the ultimate hidden victim of this macroeconomic warfare. This is exactly why the Western refineries are shutting down. In a normal, healthy precious metals market, if silver prices are high and industrial demand is surging, refineries should be operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and printing money. Instead, today, they are actively rejecting sterling silver, consumer jewelry, silverware, and low-purity junk coins. Welcome to the liquidity paradox. Your scrap silver is theoretically highly valuable on paper, but it is functionally illiquid in the current physical market environment. And the real hidden culprit behind this paradox is the violently surging cost of capital and the mechanics of financial hedging. When a major refinery takes in thousands of ounces of raw, impure scrap metal, it cannot just melt it down overnight. It takes weeks of complex chemical treatment, assaying, melting, and pouring to turn that scrap into pure 4-9 fine investment-grade bars. To protect themselves from sudden, devastating price crashes during those long processing weeks, refiners have to borrow or lease silver on the complex financial markets. This process is called hedging, and it is how they lock in their profit margin regardless of what the daily spot price does. Historically, leasing silver on the open market was incredibly cheap. It cost well under 1% to borrow the metal. It was basic, cheap insurance for the refineries. But today, with global physical supplies draining rapidly to the east and a condition known as backwardation taking a tight hold of the markets, silver lease rates have violently exploded upward. The cost to borrow physical metal has skyrocketed because nobody wants to lend it out. Everyone wants to hold on to it. Suddenly, the mathematical business model for these refineries completely breaks down. The cost of holding and hedging the physical metal while it sits in the fiery furnace for 3 weeks is now drastically more expensive than the actual refining profit margin itself. Let me repeat that because it is the most important concept in the silver market today. The interest rates to borrow the metal are now higher than the profit they make from melting it. Refiners literally cannot afford the long wait time required to process low-purity scrap. The math equals a massive negative margin. They would lose millions of dollars just by turning their machines on. But the crisis does not stop there. Combine this severe financial hedging pressure with a sudden global supply chain shortage of industrial nitric acid. Nitric acid is absolutely required for the chemical purification process of silver. Because of the ongoing European energy crisis and the shutdown of major chemical plants in Germany, the global supply of nitric acid has plummeted and its cost has multiplied. So, refineries are being hit from both sides. Their financial hedging costs have exploded and their chemical processing costs have skyrocketed. They are forced to triage their operations just to avoid bankruptcy. They are completely shutting down their secondary scrap intake and rejecting complex consumer silver entirely. They are only accepting large, commercial-grade, high-purity inflows because it requires less time and less acid to process. So, what is the final verdict, and where does this specifically leave you as a retail silver stacker and investor? The mainstream narrative of a malicious Chinese export ban was a highly convenient lie. It was a distraction that perfectly masked a profound, terrifying structural shift in the global precious metals market. We have officially entered a completely two-tiered market system. If you currently hold pure investment-grade bullion like sovereign-minted coins, American silver eagles, Canadian maple leafs, or officially stamped 10-ounce and 100-ounce bars, you are holding a highly liquid premium asset. You possess the exact type of physical metal that is in fierce, uncompromising global demand. You can sell that instantly anywhere in the world. But if you hold low-purity scrap, damaged sterling jewelry, or heavily circulated war nickels, you are caught deep in the crushing gears of the liquidity paradox. The bridge between the raw, impure metal in your hands and the high-tech industrial machines of tomorrow has temporarily broken down. The smelters who would normally buy your scrap and turn it into pure bars are currently paralyzed by the broken financial system. This leads to a terrifying conclusion for the retail market. When the masses finally wake up and realize that their secondary scrap silver is functionally illiquid, they are going to panic. They will all rush at the exact same time to trade their junk silver for pure sovereign coins. When that happens, the premiums on American silver eagles and Canadian maples will absolutely explode. We could see premiums hit 50%, 60%, or even double the spot price, simply because the refineries are not producing enough new pure bullion to satisfy the retail panic. If you are preparing for the coming fiat currency collapse and the massive wealth transfer of the late 2020s, you must ruthlessly audit your own portfolio today. You must focus your wealth strategy entirely on acquiring high-purity, instantly recognizable physical metal before the retail premium shock hits. Do not get distracted by cheap, low-quality scrap just because it has a lower premium over the spot price right now. In a true liquidity crisis, low-premium scrap becomes entirely untradeable, while pure sovereign bullion becomes the ultimate king. The global vault doors are closing. The East is securing its future. The defense contractors are quietly hoarding, and the Western paper illusion is finally tearing at the seams. You have a very limited window to position yourself and your family before the mathematical reality of this physical deficit breaks into the mainstream consciousness. Thank you so much for tuning in to this deep dive analysis. It takes a massive amount of research to cut through the mainstream media lies and bring you the raw, unfiltered macroeconomic data. If you found this breakdown valuable, and if you want to continue navigating this historic wealth transfer with clarity, please hit that subscribe button, smash the like button to help defeat the algorithm, and turn on the bell icon so you are notified the second our next urgent alert goes live. Let me know in the comments section down below exactly what your strategy is right now. Are you stacking pure sovereign bullion, or are you holding on to secondary scrap silver, hoping the refineries turn their machines back on? I read as many comments as I can, and I love seeing how this community is preparing for what comes next. Stay safe out there, stay relentlessly prepared, keep stacking the right metals, and I will see you in the next video right here on the Wealth Reactor.